So I want to introduce to you what we call the 3 formulas for life. And I want you to write this down, the 3 formulas for life. And I'm going to go through this fairly quickly to try to keep to time here. But it's really important you guys get this, because there are 3 formulas that make up your life. And it will really give you some perspective on the different moods that you get into, or those levels of thinking that you get into. And it will also help you to get out of a mood that isn't serving you, or when you hit the wall, or you're tired, or you're frustrated, right? And so let's dive into the fact that they're like a formula, kind of like a math formula, like this crazy guy with the crazy hair we remember, Albert Einstein, the E equals MC squared. So think of it like a bunch of letters or math symbols that make up these 3 formulas. And let's kick it off with number 1, and it's called the formula for happiness. The formula for happiness. And the formula for happiness, guys, is as follows. It's when you're capital L, capital C, and then you put an equal sign, and you put the letters B as in Bob and P as in Peter. So when your LC equals your BP, well, what's that about? Well, here it is. The LC stands for your life conditions, and that's how things are going on in your reality, whereas the BP stands for your blueprint, which is your expectation in your mind on how things should be. So I'll say that again. When your life conditions, your LC matches up with your BP, which is your blueprint, you're going to be happy. So if we test this right now, and I said, what's something you're happy about? You could give me, well, I'm happy about this deal, or I'm happy I just raised some more money, or I'm happy I underwrote it, really well, or I'm happy that we just, closed on an asset. And that means that your life conditions matches up with what you want, or your blueprint. So that's the first formula, but let's go to formula 2, because it's the polar opposite. It's called the formula for unhappiness. The formula for unhappiness, and that formula is really the opposite, where it's when your life conditions do not equal your BP or your blueprint. So again, the formula for unhappiness is when your life conditions, or what's happening in your world, isn't working for you, and it doesn't match your blueprint with what you want, well, then you're going to be unhappy, right? So think about something you might not be happy about right now. Check to see if it's true that what's happening in your reality isn't matching up with what you want. So therefore, you're not happy about it. So if that's really Formula 1 and Formula 2, what do you think Formula 3 is? Well, Formula 3 is a big one for a lot of Americans right now, and it's called the formula for suffering. Not just Americans, but globally, a lot of people are living in Formula 3, and it's called the formula for suffering. And it's really the same thing as number 2, but there's a little bit extra at the end of it. And that is when your life conditions does not equal your blueprint and you feel powerless to change it. You feel powerless to change it. When your life conditions, what's going on in your reality, doesn't match your blueprint and you feel powerless to change it, that's really when you suffer. And I'm telling you, some of you right now, just by, my belief as a high performance coach, are probably living in Formula 3 at certain times throughout the day, when I don't want you to live in Formula 3 or even Formula 2. I want you to live more in Formula 1. So let's recap them before we go further. Number 1 is the formula for happiness, when your LC equals your BP. Number 2 is the unhappiness formula, where it doesn't equal your BP. And the suffering is when your life conditions does not match your BP and you feel powerless to change it. So here's some good news. You guys want the good news? Well, here it is. That if you ever find yourself in Formula 3 or Formula 2, there's only 2 things or 2 sides of the equation you need to address to get into Formula 1, right? And here they are. You either have to change your life conditions, or you got to change your blueprint, right? Or sometimes both, right? And maybe you've got to change what you're doing, or you need to change your approach or how you're thinking. But I'm telling you, this is paramount, because once you start to look at either side of the equation, you don't have to live in Formula 3 anymore. You don't have to live in Formula 2. You can come into a tribe of like-minded people. You can, talk to Rob. You can talk to a coach, a mentor, somebody at a meetup. But I'm telling you, I don't want you living in Formula 3 or 2 as often as you might be. We are going to be there from time to time, but I don't want you to camp out there. I want you to be in Formula 1. And for me, I always address my blueprint first. I always think, what am I thinking? What's going on in this 3-pound mass between my ears? And I ask, is it really true? Because lots of times I'm telling myself a rational lie. I'm lying to myself, or I'm rationalizing. That's how we come up with rational lies. What's not true? The broker didn't call me back. The person said they were going to invest 100 grand and they ghosted me, right? Whatever it is, you've got to stand guard at the door of your mind. Rob knows about that. And ultimately remember that you've got to do both, right? But that's enough about me. What about you? If you were to change the way you're thinking about something mentally and the way you're doing something physically, could you have a better outcome? And that's what I wanted to drop on the 3 formulas for life.